Welcome to Nintendo News. I'm your host, Chris Tysis, and we're talking non-Nintendo this time. Every now and again, we talk about the competitors and how it affects Nintendo and their vision and where they're going in the video game industry. And it is always important to look at what other companies and things are doing. And of course, as you know, Sony has revealed their new console, the PS4 Pro with the PS4 Slim. And the reception was a bit lukewarm. I watched most of the presentation and it didn't look really that great. And it felt like it was a stumbling moment for Sony, who has been pretty good so far the last few years. And I just don't think the Pro is a big enough of a sell for people with without 4K TVs. Now, obviously, you get this console without 4K TVs, you won't see the full benefits of this console. And it does create a bit of a difference between the people who have 1080p and the one who has 4K, which, you know, if you want to get true native, real 4K gaming, you just buy a PC. It's a lot cheaper and easier to put together. But with Sony, I don't feel like that this was a particularly great move or idea. And it's an interesting thing that I think Sony is trying to keep the juggernaut going, that is the PS4. And the sales are still pretty good, but I feel like the Pro doesn't go far enough. I think Microsoft's Scorpio console coming next year is going to be more powerful. It will probably be able to do 4K gaming, actual native 4K gaming, instead of sort of, you know, trickery and rendering that Sony will be doing to make things prettier and HDR sort of technologies that can be found on TVs, and, you know, they use that with the video games. But that wasn't the only stumbling block that Sony did. And sometimes, you know, when your video game company is not doing too well on Nintendo, it's just nice to see the others fail sometimes. It's just me, you know. And the other stumbling block was only revealed about half an hour ago. And that is the Skyrim Remaster is coming out in about a month or so time. And they promised the makers of that game that it would have mods that was available on PC many years ago. And now Sony has told them, no, you can't have it. Not happening. Now, we don't know why. It could be due to memory issues and things like that with the console or something like that. But that is really not a good thing. And the other game that applies to is Fallout 4. So, Sony. Arrogant Sony's back. They're back. I thought they left after the PS2 and the issues that the PS3 had with their console and the CPU they chose in the cell, and they're just getting a little bit arrogant. And don't worry, Nintendo was arrogant too in the 80s and early 90s. You know, it happens to a video game company where when they're doing really well, they start doing arrogant decisions until someone else brings them down to earth. And Sony did that to Nintendo, and maybe Microsoft will do the same thing to Sony, because competition is good, and we do need that. So it's a very interesting thing. Now, how this affects Nintendo, I don't think it really affects them too much. I think that they probably know that these type of consoles are happening, and it's becoming more mid-generational upgrades. And you know, Nintendo's been doing that with handhelds for a long time. You know, the Game Boy Pocket, Color, Advance SP, DS Lite, the DS XL, 3DS XL, the new 3DS. So they've been doing those sort of things, the hardware, but not really with home consoles. So it's very interesting. What do you think of all this? Is it a bit fun to see them just take a bit of a stumble on the stage and see what happens? Oh dear, Sony. Oh well, I hope they work things out. I just don't think the PS4 Pro is as great as a buy, but you've got to have a 4K TV to have it. Now, I think the problem is still the cost of those 4K TVs are still just a little bit out of reach. You can get the cheap ones, you know, $700, $800 here, but they're probably not going to have all the nice features like HDR sort of technology in that. You probably have to go at least at $1,500 or $2,000, I guess. But do people care about 4K? The average Joe who buys the PS4s? It'd be interesting. All right, that's enough of me rambling, and I shall see you later on.